Hello and welcome to Tapping Tips Tuesday. My name's Katie Walker. I am doing a series of working with blocks around showing up and speaking with a fearless voice, and what could get in the way to stop us from being able to do what we want, to be able to express, to be able to be. And so firstly, I always want to say, if you are joining me with Tapping Tips, is to really take full responsibility for yourself. So what does that mean? It means I am always going to work within a safe window, in terms of we'll do something that might be future focusing or something that's happened recently. We're never going to go and dredge up past traumas. And so I just want you to be aware of that. And as we're working through this, just be aware of noticing your what might be showing up for you, and to really be mindful of that. If you find that there's an intensity, a somatic experience that's really quite intense, I just want you to remember that you can just start to tap. So please know that. So you just start on the top of the head, and then the start of the eyebrow, the side of the eye, under the nose, under the lip, your collarbone, under the arm. And whilst you're doing that, I want you just to be really aware of your environment. So keeping your feet firmly on the floor, and bring your awareness to your feet, your bottom in the chair. Notice any sounds that you might be hearing, even around your room, as you look just very gently with a soft gaze. I just want you to stay present, because what might happen is, as I say stuff, I could certainly trigger something within you, or a memory might show up. And I just want you to know that that can happen, but there are ways just to manage what is showing up for you in that moment. And when I do the tapping and I give you a situation, a scenario, I want you to use the words that I'm using, but I do also want you to write down something that might be coming up, or something that you recently experienced that you can work on, and you set the intention. That's what I'm going to be working on. You put it to the side, and then you use my words. And just know that if you want to know more, I am here. This is my passion. This is what I love doing. I love being able to support you, support my clients to really unpack what's going on for them internally. It's really being able to align the internals with our intentions, desires, and what we want to be able to do and be, and who we want to be, how we want to show up. Okay, so today, continuing along that same path of really being able to show up and use our voice and speak fearlessly, I am going to focus more in the formal sense of it. So this work can be done with having tough conversations with family members, with partners, being able to do something live on Facebook, on Instagram, even if in a written form. It's not necessarily even just using that voice, it's being seen in some way, shape or form. But today we're going to focus on a formal example of actually presenting to a group. So let's say you've been given an opportunity to be able to present on your area of expertise. It could be an opportunity to promote your business, to go into an environment to actually present a presentation on what you do. So for me, it could be presenting on emotional freedom techniques, using it as a stress management tool in a corporate environment, for an example. So I'm going to go in there, do an introduction, and talk about why it would help someone in their corporate environment. What does it actually look like? What does it all mean? To give them a taste for that, to introduce EFT. That could be something that I do in a formal environment, in a formal sense. But what I want to actually focus on today is the pre-work, because what can happen is, if we get that opportunity, it's all very exciting. We've got this chance to go out there and talk to a group of people and do a presentation. What can stop us in our tracks is actually, oh my gosh, the prep work, preparing for it. What do I actually do? What do I say? What do I cover? And so we're going to work on that piece, because when we're able to bring ourselves back into a calm, regulated state, it allows for the higher functioning part of our brain to actually be present, to be thinking clearly, to be able to logically put together the information that we need and how we want it to flow. But if we're actually sitting there feeling stressed, overwhelmed, worried, nervous, that can actually stop us from really being able to go, what's going to make up a good presentation? What are some of the key aspects that I need to cover? What is my message? What is it that I want for them to be able to do at the end of that? Is there a call to action at the end of the presentation? So really being able to stay present as we're preparing is a really important thing. But if we are in a stress response, our system's been activated, that can stop us from actually pulling together a really good, solid presentation. So with all that said, what I want you to do is, if you are in that situation where you are having to present, you've got a presentation coming up, or you might have experienced one where you didn't feel that it went well. So we're either going to go future, or we are going to go a recent time when you did do a presentation and things didn't go as planned. I want you to think about that. So if that is the case, the past, I want you to think, how am I feeling about that now? What is the emotion that I'm feeling right here and now? Because we can't change the emotion from the past. We can only work on with what's showing up here and now. So in the past, it could have been, I felt really embarrassed, or I felt humiliated, or I felt nervous, worried, anxious. Here and now, thinking about that past experience, it could be, I feel disappointed, I feel really annoyed, I feel really frustrated, I feel really, I still feel anxious about it. So there's that. So I want you to, what is the emotion here and now, thinking about that past situation, rate it. Remember, we do a rating 0 to 10. And that's so we know that as we're doing the rounds of tapping, is it actually working? Are we focused on the right area? 0 to 10 rating on the emotion. Do you notice it anywhere in your body as you think about that event and the emotion? Is it showing up somewhere in your body? So for me, I'm going to think about preparing for a EFT introduction stress management presentation. And so thinking about preparing for, actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that because I do have something coming up that is actually a presentation on a particular subject. And I don't know why I wasn't using that in the first instance, because I do have something real life coming up on Friday. And so thinking about that, I noticed that I'm feeling a little bit blocked in terms of how do I get all the information that I need to in a really succinct manner to take something that the concept is quite complex, so my audience actually gets it. And I want them to walk away going, aha, she's explained it in such a way, I get it. So thinking about that presentation on Friday, I notice, preparing for it, for the presentation on Friday, I noticed this anxious feeling. And I'm pointing to my chest because I'm noticing it in my chest. So 0 to 10 on anxious, I'm going to say it's sitting at about a 7. Now, whilst that anxious feeling is there, thinking about actually preparing this PowerPoint presentation that I want to do, I'm stopped. I'm stopping me in my tracks. I'm not able to kind of even start it. I noticed this morning, I've had a couple of client sessions, but I'm also noticing I'm getting up and I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee. Then I just took my dog outside to get some fresh air, and I'm standing there having a chat to my dog. Yes, she needs that. She needs to go out. I need to go out. But I know that there's some avoidance and I am procrastinating because of this anxious feeling, just thinking about what is it that I need to put into this presentation. So that is what I'm going to use. They're the words that I'm going to use. The emotion is anxious. It's 7. It's sitting in my chest. So when you write down what you're focusing in on and the emotion, the rating, where it is in the body, I want you to turn that over and put it to the side, and you are going to use the words that I am going to use. So here we go. So again, just notice your feet on the floor, bottom in the chair, bring yourself into being aware of where you are and taking full responsibility for yourself. So even though I feel anxious in my chest, just thinking about preparing for Friday's presentation, I don't know what to include. I really don't know what to include. And that's making me feel anxious, but I can still deeply and completely accept myself. And even though I feel anxious in my chest, just thinking about preparing for the presentation on Friday, I don't know what to include. And it's making me feel anxious, but I can still deeply and completely accept myself. And even though I feel anxious in my chest, just thinking about preparing for the presentation in PowerPoint for Friday's presentation, I'm not sure what to include, but I can still deeply and completely accept myself. So we repeat it 3 times on the side of the hand, then we go to the top of the head, and this is where we're just repeating the emotion, feeling anxious. Side of the eyebrow, feeling anxious. Side of the eye, feeling anxious. Under the eye, feeling anxious. Under the nose, feeling anxious in my chest. Under the lip, feeling anxious in my chest. Collarbone, feeling anxious. Under the arm, feeling anxious in my chest. And I just come back to the side of the hand and I think about, okay, I need to get started on this PowerPoint presentation. And I actually have all of the information that I need to include. It's just a matter of making it really succinct, not too many words on the presentation. Do I still feel anxious? Yes, I do. And I'm noticing it's gone from a 7 to about a 3. So I'm going to do one more round, because if I can get that down to a 0, then I know that will allow me to open up PowerPoint, to open up the other document that I have with all the information that I want to include, and to start calmly creating this presentation that is succinct, that's taking a complex concept and creating something that is digestible for my audience. I already feel differently about it. So let's just do one more round. Again, just repeating after me, even though I still feel anxious in my chest, thinking about creating this PowerPoint presentation for Friday's presentation. I still feel anxious. It's not so much thinking about what do I include, because I know what I want to include. So it's just noticing that I still feel a bit anxious about doing the PowerPoint. I deeply and completely accept myself. And even though I feel anxious in my chest still, thinking about preparing for Friday and doing the PowerPoint presentation, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I still feel this remaining anxious feeling in my chest, thinking about putting the PowerPoint presentation together for Friday's prezo, I deeply and completely accept myself. Top of the head, feeling anxious. Side of the eyebrow, still feeling anxious. Side of the eye, still feeling anxious in my chest. Under the eye, still feeling anxious. Under the nose, still feeling anxious. Under the lip, still feeling anxious in my chest. Collarbone, feeling anxious. Under the arm, still feeling anxious. Okay, I'll just take a breath, however that looks. Nothing too deep, but just noticing breath coming in, thinking about starting this PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to say thank you so much. I actually feel like I could do that now. So once I finish this, I know that I can sit in front of the computer. I've got the information I want to include, and I can just go through and calmly create something that I'm going to enjoy presenting on for Friday's presentation. So had I not done the tapping, I know that I would have done everything around the house, doing anything other than doing what I need to do for Friday's presentation. So if I get that done today, I've got Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday morning, knowing I can just prepare and still do some tapping if I notice anything come up, to allow for me to be there, to show up, to be present for my audience, to be able to convey the message and get the information across that I want them to receive. So by doing tapping, I've been able to calm my nervous system down, to then be able to get that part of my brain online to do what I need to do to be able to create this presentation. So that was in 5 minutes of tapping, being able to shift a block that was there. So I just want you to know how easy it can be when you focus in on exactly what's going on for you. So the emotion, and what the emotion is actually related to, rather than I just feel this anxious feeling. Your body goes, oh my gosh, all those times when I'm feeling anxious, or all those times when I could feel anxious, and that's just too much. So we get very specific about what it is that it's related to. So again, I hope this has been useful. If you want to know more, if you want to work with me, if you want to have an experience of working with something that keeps showing up for you and you're like, it's just not moving for me, it keeps stopping me, hello@katiewalkereft.com or hello@katiewalkereft.com. Go back and watch some of the tapping tips that I've done previously that might be useful as well. But again, this is my passion. I love it. And I want to be able to help as many people as I can to be able to show up so they can be and do and experience who they are, who they want to be, and live that life that they love living. So thank you again for joining. I'll see you next week.